Hello world, curses of madness be upon you all for live fighters. The first ship has finally reached its destination. Let's jump in and see where it takes us. An abandoned warehouse in Solace City, where a robot once fell in love for the first time. Dear Pathfinder, you entered my existence when I needed help. I am grateful for that. Without your assistance, I would not have found what I was looking for. You are so preoccupied with this creator of yours, you fail to see what you've created yourself. You gave me shelter. Your blind trust and naivete allowed me to reclaim what's mine. Appreciation for others is not an emotion I'm familiar with. I don't particularly like it. But the least I can do is be honest and tell you, in many ways, you created me. I was right. I'm not your friend. And our path ends here. I had to do that bit on its own, man. I think this first section is beautiful. There's so much exploration of Ash's character here. The music is gorgeous. It reminds me of Final Fantasy. I'm not sure which one. I think it's 7 or 8. There's a very particular piece that it sounds like, and really captures the mood of this bit. And this actually really gives Pathfinder something to develop on in the future. We'll come back to this. Let's carry on with the rest of the story. Back at the Paradise Lounge. Yeah, this final chapter is split into two very distinct parts. Look who's already packed, and on time. Did you have an aneurysm? Hey, when Wraith says to be putrid, punk, be on time, I am. Courier came, and I sent your stuff just like you asked. I can be smart when I put my mind to it. Now about those free mods you owe me. You gitwit, what have you done? Where's all my stuff? On its way to the rocket. You said pack up your life. No, I didn't. I could have sworn you said Wraith said don't pack up your whole life. And she was talking to you when she said it. Really? I guess I was busy. Busy thinking about how I won our bet, eh? My new tools. My workbench. Everything I need to get back on my feet. I survived attempted murder in a blazing inferno. But you, Elliot Witt? You might be my downfall. Don't you have anything to say for yourself? It's nothing personal. Fucking shoot him, girl. There's a lot. I think there's way more to unpack with this than it first seems. Right? To be continued in the Season 7 launch trailer. Season 6 isn't filler. I really hate it when I keep seeing people saying that Season 6 is filler. Season 6 is setup, it's not filler. Some of you haven't watched fucking anime. You would know what filler was if you saw it. This is setup. To be continued in the Season 7 launch trailer. This is setting us up for Season 7. It's actually giving us things to work with. Because if we jump straight into Olympus and killing Revenant, I mean, if we kill Revenant next season, what the fuck? You don't jump to that, end of a character arc that soon. We've got to build to this. And also, Revenant and Loba aren't the only characters in the story. We've just brought Ash into things. We've just brought Blisk back into things. Both of those even, just before Season 6, right? And they've used, an actual emotional connection. They've used, an actual emotional connection with Pathfinder and Ash. And not just from Pathfinder's side. I didn't even expect Ash to write a fucking letter. And for her to actually, essentially admit that she appreciates him? Holy shit. Not only have we expanded on these two characters, Pathfinder now has, some actual sort of genuine, experience of loss. compared to his creator that he never actually had to feel like, do you know, he can actually relate to that sensation now. And now we've got Ash, who's obviously developing her more compassionate side, possibly thanks to Pathfinder. But she's still going after her own goals as well. Obviously, she's gone with Blisk. But now the two of them have a connection. You've got a dilemma for Pathfinder if she ever comes into the story again. When she comes back into the story again, because this is all very clearly like bringing Ash and Blisk into it slowly over time, and now having them culminate through the first ship. That's setting those two up for something way bigger than any of us. Like, the whole Pathfinder Ash conundrum, if you want to put it that way, like, their little character arc they've gone through here, I think is really, really good on both, like, a personal level, like an emotive level, if you will, and, like, a sort of plot thread level. Like, this is giving us things, this is giving us a dilemma for the future, where Pathfinder or Ash are probably going to have to side with either their emotions or their own personal goals when each of them come into contact again in the future. I think that's fucking strong, man. I really like that. Now this bit, I like what they've done with Mirage and Rampart throughout Season 6, because they've had to develop them much more naturalistically. When Loba came into things, she had this huge, really, like, personally driven connection to Revenant. Like, that was already sat in stone. It had been there since Season 4. So, when she came into things, it was very easy to hit the ground running. With Rampart, they're bringing in a character who doesn't have many connections to the actual existing cast, and they're trying to build that out naturally, and I think that's actually worked really well here. Like, the relationship between Mirage and Rampart has been one of the funniest elements of Season 6. Like, it's really built on their character. I'm gonna come back to you, punk, because I literally played a game just before I came in here, and this cunt said the word punctual. And I'd never heard him say that line before today. I don't trust this motherfucker. And I think that's really cool. I think that you can read this scene in a number of ways. Either he's typical Mirage, he's a clumsy bastard, ha ha ha. And I've seen people say, like, this is a bit far. I mean, no. I mean, Rampart literally spelled it out for you. And we're probably going to learn what's wrong with it all being on the rocket, when the rocket actually goes off, where the rocket goes, or what the rocket does. If you side more with my opinion that the rocket ain't going fucking anywhere. There's also, like, a whole, like, second chunk of Season 6 left. Are we going to have to retrieve all of Rampart's stuff for her? Or are we maybe going to have to pick sides? But yeah, Mirage here, I think you can not only take as being clumsy, I think you can take it as him being spiteful. Or, like, essentially narcissistic. Like, so, like, self-involved. That he still thinks that he won the bet, even though Wraith put him in his place. And he's purposefully done this to get back at Rampart for essentially, like, losing out, for losing some of his pride, right? It's, nothing personal. Either it is him being genuinely personal, and he's a spiteful little shit, right? Like, I love Mirage, man. But I think this is a genuinely awesome development. Because I reckon he's going to take a villainous turn. And then why would you say it's nothing personal? Because what if it's purely business? I've had a feeling for a while that this bastard is Mila's man on the inside. The Syndicate's spy. And I think he's got reason for doing so. I think it's actually kind of empathetic. Like, what kind of reasons he would be spying for the Syndicate for. He's got his own motivations. He wants to help his mum. If you ask me, he wants to turn her into a simulacrum so she doesn't suffer from memory loss anymore. And that's a thing that, hey, you may have to get in touch with the Syndicate to get done. Right? And the way he's shot in this panel, like, very deliberately obscured and masked. A Mirage, like, sneaky little trickster is genuinely possibly sneaky little trickster. And actually, I'm sided with Rampart here. If it was me, I'd fucking shoot him. Especially if we lived in the Outlands. Like, I mean, at this point... And that's a thing I think they can do. Like, at least one of the writers, if I remember rightly, I think it's Tom Casciello, used to work for... on soaps, like writing for soaps and for wrestling. The reason I think that wrestling is actually so important here is that they're trying to create actual, like, off-ring, out-of-arena, like, genuine, like, physical conflict. I think she could fucking shoot him. And that's a plot point that will develop in the future. Like, you'll have people take sides over that. Like, yo, girl, you fucking shot him. And there'll be some people who be like, yo, girl, you fucking shot him. My girl. Do you know? I think there's tons to that. And yeah, as I mentioned this bit, I literally played one game before coming in here to unlock the treasure pack. And as the ring was coming, Mirage noted that he's not notable for being punctual. He'd said the word punctual, just... Obviously, if he's got a stammer, it might be... It doesn't matter what word he tries to say. But the fact that literally today, I've never heard him say that line before, but literally just now, I heard him say the word punctual. When it was the word that he was fucking going for. I think they've done that on purpose. I mean, this is me. I will read so far into anything that you probably think I'm actually too far up my own ass, right? I think it's boring to kind of ignore things like this. I don't think you do that for no reason. Maybe I'm putting them on a bit too much of a pedestal there. Maybe I'm assuming too much out of the writers, right? To do that sort of cross-media, like, character development, like a hint that this guy's full of shit. Because I reckon he is. I reckon Mirage in this chapter is actually full of shit. About those free mods you like... And he's covering it up with his self-involvement. He's so sneaky, man. At least I think so. And I think that's a way more interesting way to take this in the future. Like, it's cool to even take it on a personal level that these two genuinely... Who seem like such good, like... friends almost, like they were becoming very close very quickly. For them to actually fall out straight away gives us setup for season 7 to develop attitudes, and when the actual plot comes back into things, when whatever's happened with Pathfinder, Ash and Blisk, when Ash and Blisk come back into things, because that's what Pathfinder was setting up, and we needed Mirage and Rampart to give us a window into that. It didn't need to be them. Like I said, this was meant to be developed naturalistically. We could have jumped straight to Pathfinder and Ash. But... then we might have at least explored the two of them more, which I would have enjoyed. But then you probably wouldn't have had this sort of big turn at the end. Like, I figured she might leave. But for her to leave a letter and for her to actually expand on her feelings and for her to try and genuinely encourage Pathfinder to be more, like, self-assured in himself. Like, that's cool as fuck. I don't care that nothing happened, essentially. This is all setting up relationships, dilemmas, like, goals for characters at hand. So, like, Pathfinder, who we haven't had expanded that much since his beginning. His creator is such a big plot point that you can't do that yet. Giving him something like this gives Pathfinder actual direction, like achievable, tangible direction in the present. He's got problems now, and he's gonna have to try and resolve them. I think that's cool as fuck. And then these two, Rampart has been brought in, again, with very minimal existing connection. So they've tried to naturalistically not only build out some of her character connection, but also a dilemma for her, conflict, character development, no matter how you read Mirage, it's character development, and possibly even growth. No, it's not growth, he hasn't changed. It's development, because we're seeing a new side to him, potentially, that already existed. But it's also, they've used these two to naturalistically show us Pathfinder and Ash. I think this season has been actually really well designed for what it's meant to be. Season 5 was the high point. The genuinely, like, well put together, overly orchestrated, plot and personally driven story, right? Season 6 needed to settle down. We couldn't have gone... Yes, maybe they shouldn't have teased Olympus so immediately with Ash, right? But I don't think we could have gone straight there, because then it would have been the same again. And then every season after that would have had to have been the same, high-octane, hugely personally motivated, but also grand, overarching, plot-driven story. Like, that's hard to do, man. I don't think this is filler. I think this is setup. I think this is following a natural sort of flow of pacing that you would take with a long-form story. It needs ebbs and flows. It needs peaks and troughs. Like, we just had a massive peak with the end of Season 5. And Season 6, well, a trough is probably sounding a bit, like, crude on it. It's settling us back down. It's bringing us more back into normal life. Because, yeah, Season 5 is, like, high concept... Like, The Broken Ghost is fucking high concept sci-fi nonsense. And that's great. It even gave us, like, loads of character development and character growth. The first ship is evidently more about setting us up for things to come. And it at least is genuinely, seemingly tied into the ongoing story. I think Season 6 will, especially the first ship, will probably become more and more worth it the further down the line we go. And I think it's a shame to see everyone call it filler. Is it as good as The Broken Ghost? No, it's not. The first ship is not as good as The Broken Ghost. I'm working on a video, like, directly comparing the two in a more sort of, like, overall format. Because I'm largely talking about the last chapter here and sort of referencing the whole story in one video. I'm going to do a more concise video comparing The Broken Ghost and the first ship, the difference between prose and comics, because the medium has changed. There's several things that are different. There's definitely things I don't like about this season. But the thing I like the least is that everyone's calling it filler. Not everybody's calling it filler. That a lot of people seem to be down on this season, and I don't blame them. But I've seen people say it's rushed, or that it almost like is inconsequential, or that it doesn't need to exist. And I think that's wrong. I think that, again, the further we go, and with hindsight, we'll be able to see that, like, the first ship potentially has set us up for a lot of the bigger things to come. Especially Blisk and Ash. That's a massive overarching story that's probably bigger than even any of these people, right? The path doesn't end here. So yeah, I'm actually genuinely, like, pretty happy with the first ship. Again, it's not as good as The Broken Ghost. It's going to be hard for them to top The Broken Ghost. And so I think, again, thinking about in terms of how wrestling storylines are written, you write them across seasons. Like, you'll obviously have within-season storylines, but if you're trying to really, like, flesh out these characters for longevity, you really take your time with it. And I think this is good. I think that this is them adopting that sort of sensibility into the story as it stands. I think that's fucking cool, man. To me, Apex Legends is sci-fi nonsense, blood sport, professional wrestling. So happy days. I look forward to where this goes, and I look forward to the rest of Season 6 to see if there is any gameplay stuff to come in the second half. Whether we are going to be retrieving Rampart's bits or not, or where the rocket is going, because the stuff's going to the rocket. I really should pack up my life on this one. There is a tiny little extra thing I wanted to quickly discuss with regards to this. This is an odd-looking sort of Hammond vehicle, like a speeder or something like that. Ride share, which means there definitely could be vehicles coming back to one of the maps, say like replacing the train or something. But the fact that this is this, and the other mask charms that we got, there's a character that's missing. We don't have a mask charm for Lifeline yet. So just as I lead out from this video, I hope you've all enjoyed the first ship. I understand if you haven't, as much as I've sort of portrayed my enjoyment of it, right? I understand. It hasn't been as emotionally or personally investing. But I hope you liked it for what it was, and I hope that we'll all come to see in the future. I hope that we all come to see in the future that I'm right, and this is set up for much bigger and better things to come. And it'll be worth it eventually. Lots to think about. Probably way too much to think about for one day. Stay smiling, friends. I know this hurts. Because personally this genuinely hurts. I want to see more Ash, man. I hope you've enjoyed my thoughts as well. I hope that I've at least maybe shown you maybe a different light on the first ship. I understand people being down on it. I just don't think it's entirely fair. But with that, I hope I've given you some food to ponder over for the future. I've been Euclidean Vision, the emotional support. This has been Apex Legends, the first ship. I hope you enjoyed yourselves and my thoughts today. Take care of yourselves out there, teammates. And may the glorious light of Beskil shine within you. Bye-bye.